Hello everybody, Arcblight here, and I played through the Outriders demo twice now, maxing out 2 characters, completing all side quests and the main story, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on how the game is and how the game is going to be going forward. So let's get into it. So starting off, I just wanted to express that I come from a background of playing Destiny 2 a lot, the Division 2 a bit, and a lot of Gears of War growing up. So with that in mind, this game feels like a blend of all these games. The taking cover system from Gears of War and the Division, with the shooting from the Division where it's third person, but having more of the gearing and the powers that remind me a lot more of Destiny 2. With that in mind, I was very excited about this game. I downloaded the demo immediately and played through it as a Technomancer first, trying out the different abilities with that. It felt really good, and a lot of the complaints with the game actually came from like the voice acting with a lot of stuff. People were also upset because all the cinematics were locked into 30 FPS. They fixed that now in the demo, and then the full release of the game, I'm sure it's going to look a lot better and sound a lot better too. I doubt they'll re-record the voice acting, but honestly, I played the game already knowing about those complaints, and it actually never really bothered me. I mean, I've seen way worse games. I mean, I've seen better too, but I was still invested in the game. It didn't break any of the immersion for me or anything like that. I actually liked how your character's a bit rough around the edges, just to say that lightly. But I was interested in the story, the characters. The character of Seth starts off seeming kind of like a bad guy. Might not be the case. I'm really curious about how his story is going to play out along with my own story. Speaking of the story, they've said with the full game, it's going to be 40 plus hours to complete, which blew my mind actually. I was expecting this game to be more of a 3-4 hour speed run, but for the casuals, it would be a bit more of like a 10-11 hour type of game. But 40 hours, that's quite a bit of stuff, and actually I'm really excited about it, because with the story you have the option to play with up to 2 other people, so that's going to be really fun to team up with friends and grind through all of that. And if they're at like a different point in the story, they can either drop back to you and continue where you are, or you can drop back to them if they're behind you, which is super convenient for dropping in and then dropping out and playing through the game. As far as the gameplay, the cover system was a little bit buggy. It didn't really bother me as much as I thought it was going to, but it's not perfect. But the developers have already acknowledged this, so they already have plans in motion for when the game fully comes out to have fixed a lot of those bugs and tweaked a few things here and there. So hopefully that'll feel a lot better. But even with that, I still enjoyed enough of the game to grind certain side quests over and over and over, max out my character, max out my world tier, and then do it all again with a second character. And I still plan on doing the other 2 classes just to see how they feel as I play them, to figure out which character is going to be my main first one when I get the official game. But yeah, with the game, I mean, the gear feels really good. You're constantly getting different guns and stuff that you get to try out, whether it's shotguns, sniper rifles, machine guns, and so on. And then the powers, we get about, I want to say 4 or 5, I think 4 abilities that we can choose from in the demo right now. And I mean, they feel good. And then the gear that you get when you get like blue gear or epic gear or legendary, they actually have mods on them that will change the effect of some of your skills, like usually buffing them up in one way or another, or just buffing like weapon damage or crits or ricocheting off enemies, whatever it is. But all that stuff together, it felt really good. This game felt like tightly made, like everything's functioning reasonably well. And the world looks good. I mean, the levels, I wish it was a little bit more open world. Every level that you do is pretty much like a straight direction for the most part, but it wasn't that bad. It didn't actually frustrate me or anything like that. I always knew where I needed to go. And yeah, I mean, the boss fight that you get to have in there felt really good, felt really tough, especially like the higher world tiers you get. I mean, if you get really geared up, it doesn't feel that tough anymore, but it felt good, especially the first time you go through it. And when the game fully comes out, you also get access to modding your gear, crafting gear. You can level up gear if you got like a legendary weapon or something like that you really like, you can actually level it up so you can keep using it as you're playing through, kind of like how Destiny lets you sacrifice a higher level item to a lower level one to match it or whatever. So that all feels really good. I'm very curious about the crafting and how that's going to feel, because when you break down like a piece of gear, you get the modifier from it, and then you can put that modifier on something else. So you can build your character very specifically to the skills that you like and the playstyle that you like. And then as far as endgame, we heard about that. There was a release from the developers about what that's going to entail, and that sounds pretty good too. It's not a live service game like Destiny 2, so there isn't like queuing up to do Crucible or Gambit or raids or anything like that, but you can matchmake with other people and you can join your friends as well. And with the end game, there's 14 expeditions that you get to do, which are very brutal from what they say to get done. And the better that you do at them, the higher tier of rewards that you get from it, which is actually pretty appealing. If there's different tiers of rewards, that means it's got to be difficult to a certain extent. You're going to be risking dying left and right until you tighten up your strategy, either by yourself or with other people. And as you keep beating them and going up higher in those 14, eventually when you beat the 14 expeditions, you'll unlock the final end game, which is the Eye of the Storm, which I don't know a ton about, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty intense. And with the expeditions and everything like that, really good thing to note is that none of it is a rehashing of any of the storyline. So you're not doing like a mission you've done before, just ramped up in difficulty for this. Kind of like how Destiny's strikes will usually be a chunk of content from the story that's just like cut out and made as like a replayable loop with other people. They said these expeditions are actually crafted specifically to be their own unique thing, which is really cool. I'm glad they did something like that. And for a game like this, I think it's going to give it a decent amount of replayability with your friends. You're going to have things you're progressing to with how difficult the end sounds like it's going to be. I don't think people are just going to like blow right through it and then be done with the game. But granted, we'll see when it comes out. But as for me, I'm extremely excited about this game. I already have different build ideas going on, different things I want to test out. I want to experience as much more of this game as I possibly can, because just with the demo, I was very impressed. And if anybody is on the fence about it and hasn't tried the demo, I highly recommend you go and download it. It's cross-platform. The game's going to be cross-platform. Doesn't matter what console your friends are playing on, you can still team up with them rather seamlessly too. I was playing with an Xbox person the other night and I'm on PC, and it took us like a minute to get together and then start running through stuff. It didn't feel weird or anything like that. But yeah, overall, the game just feels really good, and I'm very excited. So yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and I hope you have a good day. Peace.